our second presenters. So that is a Pressbooks tool for incorporating sustainability across the curriculum. I did give co-host, so hopefully there you go. You guys are up and running. If I can do anything to assist you, please let me know.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Richard Plate, and I'm here with two of my teammates here, Devon, Cadwell, Bazata, and Sharon Woodhill. And we're going to be talking about a tool that we are developing to help. Let's see if I can get this going. A tool we're developing to help incorporate sustainability into courses. So the whole deck is can be scanned here. So I'll just leave this up for a moment. I'll be going fairly quickly through a bunch of these slides. So if anyone's interested in having just a copy of these slides and being able to look at them at a little more leisurely pace, this is how you can do that. So I've included this here just because of the quick time. I'm going to do my best to stay within about 10 or 12 minutes to give folks some chance for some feedback on this. But just in case that doesn't happen, as I'm talking about this tool, if you have ideas for what would make it more useful to you, what would make you more likely to use the tool, then please do just put it in the chat, and at least I'll be able to look at it later, even if we're not able to delve into all of that right away here. So with sustainability, often when we talk to faculty or students about sustainability and what sustainability means to them, we get things like protecting the forests, protecting natural resources, recycling, using fewer resources, and all of those are good answers, but they're very narrow answers. So when we talk to people about incorporating sustainability into their courses, usually their initial position is like, well, I think it's great. I think it's great you guys are doing this stuff with sustainability. Doesn't really apply to my course, but good luck with what you're doing. So kind of the big picture message I want to try to convey here is that it probably does apply to your course too. And the reason I feel confident in saying that is because we're using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal framework when we talk about sustainability. And this QR code will just get you to the UN site if you want to explore this a little bit on your own. Briefly, this framework developed in 2015. A lot of the goals are for 2030. I'm sure they'll extend those. But there are 17 different goals, and you can see those goals here. So it's almost difficult to teach a class that doesn't touch on one of these goals or couldn't touch on one of these goals. So the idea, this can be a very overwhelming framework. When I first started teaching it, um, when it was first introduced, I thought this isn't a great educational tool. I use the three-legged stool, the three pillars you can see on the bottom left here: economic development, social equity, and environmental protection. And I thought this idea of 17 goals was just too much. But now I'm viewing it more as like a buffet. So when you go to a buffet, there's just way more than you'd want to necessarily be directly involved in or to put on your plate. But the idea here is to kind of pick, if we're all working toward a better future, lean into the one or two or so goals that kind of fit best with your skill set, with your passions otherwise. And that so this is sort of a map to how can I contribute to this kind of broad global effort to address sustainability. So reasons for bringing this, for incorporating sustainability into a class. Um, on the one hand, on the left side here, creating better citizens. So, the idea of we're creating the leaders of tomorrow, and we want them, whatever their field is, to be thinking about the bigger picture, thinking about kind of a good future for everyone. Um, on the other side, though, improve learning. So these sustainability, and particularly this framework, can be a great tool for integrating content, for showing applications of content, for illustrating to students, okay, here's something we're learning. Here's my existing course content, but here's how it fits into efforts that are going on right now, all over the world, to kind of create a better world. So it adds maybe another layer of context to one's existing course content. And then finally, the bottom one here is for institutional goals. We're here working at UCF, so UCF has in its strategic plan to get a better ASHE score. ASHE tracks efforts to, you can see it in the bottom left here, um, university efforts to improve their sustainability, and that includes including it in curriculum. So that is not the most important goal to me, but it is the goal that I talk about when I'm talking to administrators about why we should support these kinds of endeavors, because that's the kind of thing that administrators like to see. How can we quantify these efforts? And that's what ASHE's great at doing. So, key barriers that we tend to hear about with regard to why I'm not interested in incorporating sustainability into my classroom. One, the misperceptions that I talked about before, thinking that it doesn't really apply. But two, a lack of knowledge, and then three, a lack of time. So even once we convince people, okay, yeah, I can see connections to my coursework, but honestly, this is like a whole new area, a whole new can of worms that I'm not ready to dive into all of that just yet. So the tool that we've developed here is intended to help faculty who are teaching courses that are sort of not focused on sustainability, but relevant to sustainability to help those instructors with their own, it's sort of a primer, both for the instructors and for the students. And then there's also some ready-made activities and readings for the students. So we're trying to take away the barriers to faculty incorporating sustainability into their courses. So this is actually just kind of a mock-up of what the cover will look like. So we've developed this in Pressbooks, which is open access. Anyone can pull that down and do with it what they will. Uh, the the idea, and so it's called the textbook in Pressbooks. It's really more of a library. So there's a goal, a chapter for each of the 17 goals, and they exist independently. So the idea isn't necessarily that instructors have to kind of work through all of this stuff, but that they again can lean into whatever they want. Or in with instructors that we've been working with and some of our own team, the way they use this is actually have assignments where students can dive into whichever goal they want to within the context of the assignment. So each each chapter opens with an introductory video. Our goal with these was to make them inviting, accessible. We don't want it to be textbooky, right? We want this to be sort of they're not light reading. Some of it's fairly heavy topics, but at least an engaging reading. So, so we opened with a video each one, and we had Taylor as our student spokesperson here. And I'll just show you, this is just 15 seconds, I think, or so, of the goal one video, Zero Poverty. So those videos are about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the chapter. And again, each of the 17 overview chapters starts with one of those videos. Then each chapter has, so these are, I'm pulling shots from chapter one on zero poverty. Each chapter has key takeaways at the beginning. Then we put in a fair amount of graphics and pictures to kind of illustrate what's happening and also kind of break up the text. And again, going for being inviting. Typically, we give a brief overview of kind of maybe some global stats about the particular goal, and then we provide information on concepts that are related to that goal. How do we frame poverty? How do the people working on addressing poverty frame that, and what are some of the key concepts they use? Each of the chapters has sort of self-assessment questions along the way. Again, trying to give students or faculty, give readers a chance to kind of be interactive with the content. So they're just kind of self-checks on comprehension. And then the chapters end with this with a box on target. So each of the 17 goals has several targets associated with it. You see, goal one has um, five kind of evaluation targets and then two implementation, the 1A and 1B at the bottom. So we include at the bottom of each chapter, at the end of each chapter, just to allow, we kind of refer to them throughout really the chapters and to provide a little bit more um, concreteness to what can be some fairly abstract things. Oops. And then so we've got 17 kind of overview chapters, and then each of the goals also has a digging deeper chapter. So that is 17 other chapters that provide resources, that provide ideas for discussions and conversations that are relevant to that particular goal. So it's 34 chapters in total. And this just gives some of the stuff that's in the digging deeper, a little bit of background. Again, illustration of the problem at different scales, worldwide, Florida, Orlando, um, and some UCF initiatives as well will be in there. The discussion topics at the bottom, or second from the bottom, are going to be a major part there, as well as additional sources. So kind of a library of resources for faculty or students who do want to delve a little bit deeper into that particular goal. And I'm going to actually blow right past this for the sake of time. I've basically talked about this already. We also have some case study videos. So these videos are applications, they're programs or, well, mostly programs, I guess, or resources that we have around UCF that show how multiple goals are often addressed at the same time. So you can see here, this is Knight's Pantry, a food pantry for students. We've got a video on the Arboretum, a video on some community gardens, and I'll show you just a quick clip from the Night Pantry video.
No sound. They're saying there's no sound.
Oh, there's no sound. Okay, apparently that sound's not coming through there, so I'll stop down there. Hopefully just the video itself was impressive without audio, but I promise there's audio. So yeah, do we have how we're doing here? 4 minutes, I think. So I'd love to hear from folks and maybe just unmute or I'll open up the chat here. To one of the pieces of feedback that we're getting is to more kind of canned activities, more activities that to make it super easy for faculty to just import it into what they're doing. Um, if you're in kind of that boat, I'd love to hear about the types of activities. For example, readings with questions or more structured kind of discussion types of things. What would make this attractive to you to bring into your course?
Richard, it's Anna. I don't know if this is out of the scope of what you're planning, but maybe some kind of community way of discussing with other people who are also using the resource, what their
Oh, interesting.
are.
I really like that. We'll have to talk to our tech. I have no idea how we would do that, but we have,
Get a grant.
we will absolutely. Yeah.
I would just, the more that we can know and that you can market it to know that it exists and it's there for us and it's able for us to grasp and use, I think would be better. I put in the chat that it's organized really well. If I were to go in there, I think I could find what I wanted, which is sometimes, a reason why I leave. So you've done a really good job with that. I would think just getting the word out that it's a resource for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're interested, so we don't have the whole book published yet, developed yet. We're hoping the end of the summer we will have it available for people. So if you're interested in being really somewhat of a beta tester on it, some of the first folks to look at it, if you want to reach out to me, I put my email in the chat. It's going to be a little further up now. Or if you want to put your email in the chat, I'm happy to. But basically, I'm building a list of emails of folks as we present this in different places who want to be notified when it's kind of up and available. And then what I'll be asking for there is just, let me know again how we can make it more useful. One of the nice things about Pressbooks is we can go in and change it at any time to adapt it to kind of what we're hearing from people. So I'm probably at the time there, but thank you all very much for your attention
Thank
and
you
great
both.
ideas.
We have about 1 more minute. Any other questions before we go ahead and go back to the main group?
We are going to have this as a Canvas module. It's going to be a Canvas course or